Have you ever stopped to think that maybe our planet isn't just a big rock with a bunch of life on it? That maybe it's more like a deeply connected system. You could almost think of it as a huge, really complex game that we're all playing, whether we realize it or not. So let's dive into that idea because honestly, understanding the rules of this game is more important now than it has ever been. And look, this isn't just some fluffy, poetic idea. It's a really powerful way to frame our relationship with the Earth. It kind of asks us to see the whole planet as a single living thing, something that's both completely magnificent and, incredibly fragile. It's a system that really needs our attention, our understanding, and our care. There's actually a scientific concept for this called the Gaia theory. It suggests that the Earth itself, everything from the chemistry of the oceans to the air we breathe, actively works to keep conditions just right for life. So the big takeaway here is we're living inside a giant, self-regulating superorganism that plays by a very clear set of rules. Okay, but if we're part of this brilliant, self-sustaining system, why does it feel like we're, losing the game? Why are we facing so many environmental crises all at once? I think the answer is actually pretty simple. For a long, long time, we've been playing without really understanding, or maybe just flat out ignoring, the fundamental rules. Now take a look at this. What's absolutely wild about this chart is the shape of these curves. For most of human history, these lines were pretty flat. But then right around the middle of the 20th century, boom, they all shoot almost straight up. They call this the Great Acceleration, and it shows just how much our impact on the planet exploded in a super short amount of time. We basically changed the scale of the game overnight. And the consequences of breaking the rules? Yeah, they're becoming painfully obvious. Get this, according to the WWF's Living Planet report, in just about 40 years, we've seen the populations of vertebrate wildlife drop by more than half on average. That's a staggering loss. It's a direct result of our expanding footprint on the planet. And that brings us to this idea of an ecological footprint. It's a way of measuring what we demand from nature versus what nature can actually regenerate. And right now, humanity as a whole is using resources and producing waste at a rate that would require 1.5 Earths to keep up. We are literally, and I mean literally, living on borrowed time. So why do we do it? Is everyone just bad? No, of course not. It's a system problem, and it's explained perfectly by something called the tragedy of the commons. Basically, when you have a shared resource that nobody really owns, like, say, the oceans or the atmosphere, the most rational thing for any one person to do is to take as much as they can. Why? Because the benefit to you is immediate, while the cost of using it all up is shared by everyone and it comes way later. It's a feedback loop that pretty much guarantees unsustainability. So, if we want to change the outcome of this game, we have to change the way we play. And to do that, we finally need to sit down and read the rulebook. And it turns out the core principles of ecology, the actual rules of the game, are surprisingly simple and, really elegant. Let's just break them down. It all comes down to 3 fundamental rules we have to get into our heads. First, everything is connected. Second, there is no away. And third, nature has limits. That's it. That's the whole rulebook. Let's take a quick look at what each one really means. All right, rule number 1, everything is connected. This is the absolute heart of systems thinking. An ecosystem isn't just a list of animals and plants, it's a super complex web of relationships. It's like a spider web. If you pull on one single thread, the whole thing vibrates. And that means even tiny little changes can have massive and often totally unpredictable consequences down the line. Rule number 2, there is no away. I mean, really think about that. When you throw something away, where does it actually go? In nature, that concept just doesn't exist. There's no such thing as waste. The waste from one organism is literally food for another. Everything gets recycled in this beautiful, continuous, closed-loop system. Our whole modern idea of disposable stuff is a complete violation of this rule. And finally, rule number 3. Nature has limits. It's like a bank account. There's a finite amount of resources the planet can give us and a finite amount of pollution it can absorb. That's its carrying capacity. All the amazing biodiversity on our planet provides these essential services, like cleaning our water and regulating the climate, that keep our life support systems running. But if we push those systems past their limits, they start to break down. It's as simple as that. Okay, so those are the rules. And knowing them isn't meant to be a downer, just the opposite.
It's actually really empowering because now we have a clear framework for how we can start winning this game. It's all about designing our own human systems to work with nature, not against it. Let's explore what that actually looks like. And this, right here, illustrates the huge shift we need to make. Right now, we pretty much run on a linear take, make, waste model. It's a one-way street. We pull resources out of the ground, make stuff, and then throw it away. But nature runs on a circular, closed-loop model, where waste literally equals a resource. This is the blueprint for a truly sustainable and regenerative way of living. Let's look at a real-world example of rule number 1, everything is connected. Just look at what happens when rain falls on a piece of land. If the land is barren, you get erosion, you get flooding, and you don't store much water for the dry season. But on land covered with plants, everything works together. The plants, the soil, the water. The system holds on to that moisture, it recharges the groundwater, it prevents floods, and it makes sure water is around all year. It's just a perfect example of a healthy, connected system.
Now, what about rule number 2, there is no away? This is where it gets really cool. A simple system might take some food waste and turn it into compost, which is good, don't get me wrong. But a complex, integrated system sees that waste as a resource with tons of possibilities. You could feed some to cows, which make milk. Their manure goes into a biogas digester, which creates energy. The leftover stuff fertilizes wetlands, which clean water and can support ducks that lay eggs. You see, you've just turned one waste stream into 5 valuable things.
So how do we apply rule number 3 and actually live within nature's limits? Well, here are 5 key strategies. We've got to preserve what we have left, we need to produce things better, and we need to consume more wisely. But just as important, we have to change our financial systems to actually value nature, and we need to govern our shared resources way more fairly. It's got to be a holistic approach for a systemic problem.
You know, ultimately, all of this, it comes down to us. It's so easy to sit around and wait for some government or some big corporation to fix things. But this quote from June Jordan is such a powerful reminder that the power and the responsibility, they start with each of us. The shift really begins with our own understanding, our attitudes, and our actions.
So we're back where we started, thinking about the Earth as this grand, complex game. But the difference is, now we have the rule book. We know how it works. The path forward isn't some big mystery anymore. The real question, the one that's left for every single one of us, is, now that we know the rules, how are we going to choose to play?